Hello, good afternoon, Miami. I am Christi Tasker here, and I am running for District 2 Commission, and I am your only commissioner actually already fighting this corruption that we're dealing with on a daily basis. Yes, when I first moved to Miami in 2015, I was met with briberies, money laundering schemes, and I vowed to fight it then, and the saga continues. But fortunately, we have arrests underway, and I'm going to share with you today all of the things that we all need to be aware of and what I am dealing with on a weekly basis in terms of what constituents are telling me regarding meetings that I'm going to. I'm going to brief you guys on those and what's actually happening here with our infrastructure. For those of you following me on social media, or if you're not already, I highly recommend that you follow my YouTube, my Instagram, my Facebook, and my Twitter. And they are all Christi, the number 4, Miami. So if you're not already followed, make sure that you do, because I'm releasing some of these things on a daily basis. Also, make sure that you subscribe to Christi, the number 4, Miami.com, because those are where my blog post, the information is going out. And many of you have requested that I please release the information regarding anything that I am finding regarding my opponents. So I was really surprised to hear that you guys actually want to know about my opponents. So I am happy to share that with you. Just so you guys know, I do have comments on, so make sure that you if you're listening right now, please make sure that you leave a comment just to let me know that you can hear me, because one of the biggest things is audio. Can you hear me? Listen, I will not sing to you, okay? Because otherwise that may not get me elected. So what I wanted to share with you all was, a couple of things. Last week, I attended the pickleball court opening, and I was really surprised to find that our pickleball courts already flood from day one. So what do I mean? Yes, we have standing water on the pickleball courts because the elevation of the pickleball courts was not checked. I'm not sure if that was included in the cost of redoing these courts, but I found it extremely alarming that the pickleball courts already had standing water on them. Before I got there, they were actually having to squeegee off the pickleball courts. Listen, they were not complaining. I want to say this, the pickleball users, they were not complaining. They were happy to at least have the courts. They're like, hey, it's Miami. They kind of expect this. I do not expect that. I don't accept that. As a matter of fact, one of my contractors that I love dearly, Salvador Nastal, was actually there. And Sal made the comment to me that if he had done those courts, he would have to redo them because the city would not have paid him. And he is a local contractor. So this contract evidently went to somebody out of state. I don't really know, because they have not released the documents on the contract as a whole for the pickleball court. So I don't know if the elevation was included or if it was only resurfacing or repainting. All of this is very unclear. And when our commissioner now is coming out and cutting the ribbon regarding the pickleball courts, there's no information given regarding the cost of the project, how much the project actually cost, what was included, what was done. So, we don't know if this was just a fluff and buff, or if it was something that we paid millions of dollars for, much like we did the Kennedy Park bathroom. So a couple of things I just want to point in your direction, because I don't want to take up, a lot of your time, because I just want to point you in a couple directions today on content. Okay. So, because we have some things that are going on, I want to point you in the direction of my Facebook page as a whole. So when you're going here to my Facebook page, please make sure that you are following. You can see this video live and everything on there now, but you can also see a meeting that I attended yesterday regarding the public works. Department is requesting a sidewalk easement in West Coconut Grove. So they want a sidewalk easement. The sidewalk easement, I reviewed it. It looks very vague. I actually asked them in the video, can we actually strike through? Can attorneys actually strike through, or could they give more details regarding what type of easement they are wanting? and how we could help them as I'm even door knocking if they're able to, make these changes, because they basically need 41 homes to agree to this, because this basically takes care of some drainage, sidewalk infrastructure as a whole. And if we could get those 41 signatures for the easement, the drainage can be fixed, the sidewalks could take place. However, and that's if the people in those areas actually want them. I do not know that they want them. I don't know that they don't want them. I have not spoken to the residents yet. So those are things that I will be doing. So I have the list of homes in the area. I will be door knocking and finding out, exactly what their take is, who actually owns their property. Is it an LLC? Is it an investor that absolutely does not care? Why are they not responding to the public works request at all? However, the public works department did tell me that they had not requested a response back either way, a yes or a no. So they don't really know if people have for sure gotten their mail, because they're sending these documents out certified mail. And we often know that certified mail does not have to be signed for now. So did they actually get the mail or not? So those are things all up in question that was not able to be responded to at all. So make sure that you do watch that video. There's also Miami-Dade County released a public notice regarding a free chlorine treatment. The Miami-Dade Water and Sewer Department will temporarily change its method of chlorination at each of its regional water treatment facilities. Specifically, free chlorine treatment will be used to provide somewhat stronger disinfection and bleaching process as combined to chlorine treatment, which is normally used at our regional water plants. This change in treatment will begin October 16th, so that was yesterday, and will continue through October the 29th. During this period, consumers may notice a chlorine taste or odor in their tap water. This is temporary condition that will not cause any adverse health effects. Well, listen, I don't know how we would know that that's not going to cause somebody health effects, but I'm no health specialist, but this is what the document says. The periodic change in chlorine treatment takes place annually and will ensure adequate disinfection levels in the water that we'll provide to our customers. Consumers may also notice our service vehicles flushing fire hydrants during this time frame. This is necessary to ensure that the water within the free chlorine residual reaches the extremities of the system, which maximizes the effectiveness of this treatment process. In advance, they thank you for your cooperation during this process. This is a part of an ongoing effort to provide safe, potable water supply of the citizens in Miami-Dade County. However, there are some information that I want to make sure that I report to you, because I attended several events last week from the Reawaken tour that was here, which I was a part of, and also the Kennedy actually came into town, Robert Kennedy and his crew. So I actually went to meet with them along with the Biscayne Bay Coalition. So the Biscayne Bay Coalition, we actually went out on a boat. So I'll share with you what they were telling me. So on the boat, let's actually go here. I was on several podcasts last week. I'll try to post those clips and then also answer some of the questions. So when I went out with the Biscayne Bay Coalition, there's several common sense solutions that are not taking place within our waterways. So let's look at these. So right now, they tell me that we are paying, as taxpayers, we're paying about $15,000 to $20,000 per boat removal in our bay. So when a boat like this sinks, we actually have to pay to have it removed. The boat owner is often not on the hook for this at all. It's just your taxpayer money. So that is very concerning to me. This is exactly where the boat is located. You can see it's directly across from, all of our buildings in our city. And not only this, but what they also tell me is that we're having to wait like sometimes months to get these boats out of the water. So we're not able to get them out right away, all while they have oils and things that are leaking into the water. Okay. The other concern with the Bay Coalition and Miami Waterkeeper, Rachel. She was on this trip with us. She basically was telling us several different things regarding the water quality. So I'm going to read through my notes on there to make sure I have everything covered regarding the water quality itself. So one of the biggest things with water quality is our septic system. So any septic waste drainage is a big deal, along with they're actually removing corals out of our bay whenever we're doing dredging. And do we really need this dredging? I mean, this dredging of the port is quite alarming that we would want more larger boats to come in. So I'm very curious to what your thoughts are as a tax-paying citizen. Is this something that you guys want? Do you want to be able to, have more boats in? Is that important? Or is our water quality more important? And because these corals actually affect sea level rise, and considering our Mayor Suarez has already signed us up for what's called the C40 system. I'm going to bring that up for you, the C40 plan. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of this, because I didn't realize a lot of people were not aware. Evidently the news media has not covered that both Suarez and Daniela Cava-Levine have signed us up for a C40, which is a global network of mayors of the world's leading cities that are united in action to confront climate change or climate action. So it is my opinion that this is not what we need, let's just say, in Miami. Because if you start to look through this initiative, it's very much against people as a whole. So inside the initiative, there are things that they allow people to do. So let me just give you there. We're looking at the World Bank GDP. We have the World Economic Forum is directly involved. I've started to be very concerned whenever we have multiple partners and funders involved, especially when we have the same group of people, especially when we have people, utilizing children's investment funds in the name of climate change and some of these issues. So, and when we have different governments involved, so the major funders are 𝐴RUP, which is an independent professional service consortium that delivers innovative and sustainable solutions in a broad range of disciplines. Okay, so it depends on if you like their disciplines. I'm perfectly happy with our Constitution and us as people ruling our land, and not other governments or other people in the name of safety. So the other thing that we have is the Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety. And the UK government, is a big, huge funder of this. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark, the Clean Air Fund, Climate Works Foundation, Global Environment Facility, and the Gundrofs Fund, IKEA, L'Oreal, Oak Foundation, Hewlett Foundation, Open Society Foundations. Okay, so this is a big one that I am completely against. This is George Soros. He has made a complete mess out of countries everywhere. So he is the largest private funder of the independent groups working for justice, democratic governance, and human rights. I do not think we want George Soros ruling us. Other funders include FedEx, Google, the Climate Change Collaboration. So I always look and see who is actually funding these projects and these initiatives. And then I actually talk to our locals to see, are they excited about this? Is it helping? Are they changing? Who, what, when, where, why? Are these initiatives that we're signing up for. So I thought it was very interesting that the Clinton Foundation is a big partner here with this in terms of, this is a very politically motivated agenda to pretty much take over your life, believe it or not. So I highly recommend that you take a look at this. I've not been able to get any documents from our city government, which is also very concerning as to what they're doing. And then the biggest concern is because our locals, our Miami Waterkeeper, the Biscayne Bay Coalition is not able to get the funds that they need in order to do their jobs. And they feel like that, they're not being listened to, they're not being heard. And I trust those people a lot more than I trust these globalists that are not here on the ground seeing exactly what our bay needs and what we need as a city, because a lot of people don't trust the government right now. And that is completely understandable. And that's the one thing that I was explaining to the public works department last night is when you have an untrusted government, they don't even want to do basic things like give you an easement for you to actually put them in a sidewalk. Because when you're not taking care of what we have already, it's like, do we really need more of, what we're not taking care of? So those are things that, have to have a happy balance. I do agree that, the easements would probably be better off for the people of West Coconut Grove because it would keep people out of the street and safer because of being actually hit by cars and other things. So that is the Biscayne Bay Coalition. So when it comes to, let me actually go over a couple other things because there are other things that Rachel told us. I'm going to be posting some clips of her speeches and of the Biscayne Bay Coalition on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So make sure that you do listen to those because they're very, very informative. She took a lot of time with us to give us a lot of great details. So within the details, she also gave us there are 4 main issues that cause our water quality in the bay to go, to disseminate. So within those, and I'd posted this, I said the septic and the sewer, our stormwater and fertilizers are also causing the bay water quality issues. Along with them removing the corals. When they remove corals, it actually causes havoc on the bay. And the last time they dredged, we lost many more corals than they claimed, and they're trying to do it all over again. So, I'm just going to say, I don't really fully trust these people in charge of this. They've kind of proven to themselves to me that they cannot handle the situation and they're not doing the right thing by people. So I would say that that is definitely something to be questioned, that I'll be finding out more on as to who benefits from us dredging our port again. I mean, because this was already done not too long ago, and we just keep doing it. So the minute they come in and they're growing more coral and coral's actually getting established, we're going in and we're dredging again. So I am questioning that. So the other thing that we have this week is I've had several candidate forums, one at the Icon Brickell and a couple more. Let me actually bring up 2 on the screen. Meetings with the police. So I want you guys to make sure that we are praying for our police, okay? Because we are severely understaffed and the police are very much underappreciated. And they are working extremely hard for us, while we're sleeping, I say. And when I say while we're sleeping, I mean, not only at night while we're sleeping, but oftentimes we don't understand what they go through on a daily basis. So there are a lot of murders, suicides that we are not hearing about within buildings. And a lot of times this is occurring from Airbnb properties. So one of the biggest pieces of legislation that I will be bringing forward is for us to have a higher tax rate on Airbnb properties or short-term rentals, because short-term rentals actually cause havoc on our entire government system. So Airbnb rentals can actually disrupt an entire economy. And, I say that we know this for sure based on studies. So is this by design? Is this something that we need to look into further? So that is something I'll be posting links to articles to back up, back up what I'm saying here, because it's very, very important for all of us to understand, what our police actually go through, our fire infrastructure. Again, we do not have the infrastructure still for fire. We are short of fire stations that they claim that we have. So they are basically taking out fire stations throughout Miami and putting in things like pools. So, yes, while I'm a huge advocate for pools, they're taking other properties that have pools on them and giving those properties to developers. So we must be mindful of all of these issues when it comes to our fire safety, because this also affects your insurance policies. Okay. It affects your insurance policies, which also affects your HOA costs. I mean, it is like an absolute trickle down effect. So please make sure that you are mindful of that. And also, when you go to vote, you have an opportunity to replace the people who have incited many of these things or have just not made the motion. I say, thank goodness that we only had Sabina Kovo in office for 9 months, because I cannot imagine having this for 4 years. We cannot afford another 4 years of Sabina Kovo or any of these people working for developers. So many of you have asked, when I've been going around to the candidates forums, you have asked me to please make sure that that I am releasing the information regarding my opponents. So I will be doing that, because you do have the right to know what I know. That's what I've been hearing. This is not an attack. This is the truth. And you deserve to know the truth about who you're considering electing for office. Who are you actually going to be getting? Who are they connected to? Who are their campaign managers? Who are their advisors? Who is actually giving them the words to say? Why do they need to write down everything that's going on in a candidate forum? Because they don't remember. They don't know. Because many times we have other politicians actually giving them talking points, giving them information within, because those specific politicians need those people to be elected to office so that they can continue to carry out their plans. And sometimes those plans are not good for you, the people. They are good for their pocketbooks. So I'm going to be posting later today some of the information. It's so much. But I do want to make sure that you guys have it. I'm going to be posting their background checks that I have so that you can see those, because believe it or not, before we go into office, there's not a single background check that's taken place. There's not a single check of address confirmation. So one really interesting thing is the incumbent, Sabina Kovo, claims to live in a 900 square foot apartment with her 3 children, her mother, her mother's fiance, and her husband, and a couple of animals. So let me just say this. My husband and I live in 804 square feet. My mom lives in another 804 square feet. I would find it extremely difficult to live in 900 square feet with even my husband and my mother, much less the children, the dogs, the animals. So those are things that we need to look at. And where do our politicians actually live? Where do they reside? What interest do they have in our community? Do they have homestead exemption in our community? Because that means, do they actually own property? Are they invested? Because we're all invested, okay? But they may not be invested. So we need to ask that. We need to ask specifics like, where do you reside right now? Okay, because there are some politicians that are going around saying that they went to school here, making people believe they live in Coconut Grove when they don't. They actually live in Morningside. Nothing wrong with Morningside. It's beautiful. Morningside is part of our community. Yes, absolutely. But the reality is, you deserve to know what you're actually getting. So with me, I live at 25th Road, directly on the bay. I have seen things directly. I'm often one of the people who actually report what's going on with the bay within our developers, because the developers are often breaching the bay. We have pulled out as much as lumber, plumbing materials, construction tape, plastics. And these are oftentimes from developers. Developers are also leaking concrete into our bay. I see it on a daily basis. Nobody's stopping it. So there are no drain covers on our drains. So we must make sure that we have a commissioner that actually understands what is supposed to be being done, that a commissioner that's actually there. Because the other thing that I am noticing as I go throughout many of the meetings, like the Public Works meeting, that she's not there. We must be there. You are hiring us. You are electing us to be there for you. And last night, I was the only commission candidate there at the Public Works meeting. It's sad. I mean, it's absolutely pathetically sad that nobody is there. Nobody, they're all saying that they're calling out corruption. The reality is they're calling it out, but they're not calling the right people to actually get these things investigated. And if they know something, why aren't they saying something already? That doesn't take a commissioner. If you've investigated and you found these things, it is your duty to report them. So I ask my other candidates, who have you reported these issues to? Because as far as I know, with any of the investigators, they're not saying that any of you have reported anything, which is extremely alarming. Because if you're saying that you're going to go in and you're going to fight corruption, you can start now. You don't need to wait until you're elected, until the people elect you. You can actually start now. Where are your tweets? Where are your things? Where are your call outs? There are only attacks against each other. But you're definitely not turning in any of these politicians already. All you're doing is you're going to the media, which, by the way, many of the media journalists out there are actually owned by these politicians. Okay. They're certainly not reporting on the truth. They're certainly not reporting on some of the crimes that they can easily find, such as the money laundering and the bribery. Why haven't they reported on that in the past? They are part of the problem. They are looking for baby things so that they can then go in and cover up for whatever politician is paying them the most money. That is called propaganda, and that happens in third world countries. We must stop it here. So what I'm going to say to you as a voter, please make sure that you look at the money. Make sure that you ask where the money came from. Why would somebody put in $60,000 of their own money? And where did that money come from? Where did it come from? Why is it so important to you that you would pay $60,000 for a position that pays $60,000 a year? Why? Why is that so important? Because it's all about power and it's all about control. Because once they have control, we don't get it back for 4 years. And by then, our city is most likely going to already be bankrupt. We are already in 2 SEC violations. And when the third strike comes down, which will most likely occur because of the FTX scandal and the Miami coin scandal, and I would even say, I'm going to even go as far to say things such as our county government's going to be under investigation for even the Champlain Towers issue, where they raised money for the victims of Champlain Towers. And as far as I know, the last time I checked, the victims haven't received a single dime. So we are dealing with a government full of grifters and gangsters. So we must remove them, and we must remove them with our votes. It's going to take a lot because they have also stolen votes for years. A lot of people, have been asking me, to show proof. That is actually on my Twitter. Somebody asked me that today. The other question that I was asked this week that I posted. So I'm basically, when you guys send me private messages, I'm not putting your name or anything like that with them, but I want to make sure that everybody receives my answers. So somebody asked, why do you think a family from Alabama or Georgia who sells their home they purchased for $20,000 years ago in West Grove for close to for close to $1 million today needs taxpayers to guarantee them housing elsewhere? Is it because of their race? Well, my response was no. It absolutely has nothing to do with their race, but what it does have to do with is with good money managers. Because if we turn around and hand somebody that's not used to managing $1 million, or knows, like that a new house of the same, in the same area is maybe going to cost them $750,000. They may not realize that, because all they're thinking about is, they got this house for $20,000 years ago. Okay. So they may not know this. And the reality is we're expecting those same people that cannot even fill out their affordable housing paperwork to manage $1 million. Okay. Oftentimes their family comes for it. Everybody's in need at that point. And then before you know it, they don't have the $1 million left. So it's almost like robbing them of everything that they have, because even though they're getting the $1 million from the developer, if they can't manage their money, they can't fill out their paperwork correctly, and they don't know how to place these items into investments so that they can live on them long term, then we are disenfranchising them from the very beginning. So my office will actually be setting up courses and teaching people, how to manage their money. We will be connecting you with financial advisors, and making sure that you know what your options are. You'll also know your constitutional rights. You'll also know some of the negotiation tactics, and we'll pair you with, or have a list of people that we recommend that are good, valuable citizens who can just counsel you as a big brother, big sister, so that way you don't get disenfranchised from the very beginning. So the other myth within affordable housing is that people are going to be able to do things such as, or a commissioner is going to be able to do things such as give people a home. Commissioners have no right even pretending that they are going to be able to help you into affordable housing or give you preference on a affordable housing project. Matter of fact, I think the entire system is completely broken, because what it does is displace people from areas that they're already in and actually can move them to another place right now. So unless you want to leave your community, you want to leave your neighbors, you have a right to know what that means, because the housing process right now is on a complete lottery system. So that means you could move to Liberty City when you actually want to be in Coconut Grove. Okay. So those choices are up to you guys. The wait lists for those are miles and miles long. Okay. It's ridiculous. People have waited for them. And it's just such a myth. It's an absolute myth. One easy solution for that is for us to do things such as we have buildings that are almost sitting empty in Brickell that are owned, the units are owned by investors because they came in, they bought them up with cash during the COVID crisis. And then now those units are Airbnb properties. When those units are Airbnb properties, we are all disenfranchised from day one, because we cannot have enough housing for people. Building managers are telling me they cannot even afford to eat in the same neighborhoods where they are managing properties, and they're making anywhere between $70,000 and $110,000 as a building manager. So we have to make sure that, number one, we have employee housing. So the very people that are managing these buildings could not even afford to live in the buildings. Okay. There's not even a place for them. And if they can afford, they could, even though they're getting paid, they can't afford the food, because they're telling me that if they do go downstairs to the restaurants are not busy. Therefore, the restaurants have had to increase their pricing because of inflation of goods, but also inflation of their lease. So it's costing, like, for an average lunch in Brickell, $20. Okay. So the one way that we can get around this is a higher taxation on short-term rentals. What that will do is it will immediately open up housing for people, long-term housing. So what does that mean? In Brickell right now, you can get like a $2,800 apartment on a month-to-month lease, like on just 30 days. However, whenever we're not doing a 12-month lease, we are missing the opportunity to give an actual resident a place to live. Because if the resident is able to get a like full year lease, they can know that they're going to stay there. They can know what they're going to be able to afford. And even if the county and the city had to subsidize part of the rent, we would be better off as a society as a whole, because it is an absolute trickle down effect. Yes, absolutely, Pamela. It is a trickle down effect when short-term rentals are not monitored. That is correct. So what we would be able to do is actually put a higher taxation on the short-term leases, and then we could fill those with actual people. Danny says the wait lists are long. Yeah, for housing assistance, and years long. That's correct. You are exactly right, Danny. And it is disturbing to find out what is really going on. Yes, absolutely. Completely disturbing. It's gross to find out what's really going on here. So the other thing that I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about is, let me make sure I've got everything covered that I've gone over. Let me see. So I wanted to address that. The chlorine, the public works, the pickleball courts I covered. Oh, David Kennedy Park. Oh my goodness. This is like absolutely horrendous. So last week, I left Fire Station 8. Let me actually show you where this is, because it's on my Instagram. So I want to point out where a couple of things are, so you can go and rewatch those. So yes, last week during the town hall, I went live directly from the pickleball court. So I show you the pickleball courts, I show you where the water.
There are some issues.
So make sure that you are going through and watching that video.
There's a little bit of flooding issues.
And then afterwards, I went live on Instagram, where I showed you the David Kennedy Park bathrooms. Okay, so it's very, very important for you to look at the David Kennedy Park bathroom, because I want you guys to see what our city told us that we paid $1,132,000 for, because I find it absolutely egregious that we paid as much money as they claim that we did for this bathroom. So let me just show you really quick what this is. So this is a complete video of the David Kennedy Park bathrooms, and within the bathrooms, let me see if I can make this larger. Yeah, it's not going to let me it's not going to let me scroll through, but I want to make sure that you guys do watch this. It's on my Instagram, and what you do is you go to Reels here on Instagram, and you can actually scroll down, and the cover looks like this. Okay, so it's an older lady. She is walking across, and she actually lives in David Kennedy Park. And believe it or not, these bathrooms are nothing more than a cinder block space. And within that cinder block space, there is a total of 8 toilets, 4 sinks, and this is on the men's and the women's side. So this is just total, okay? 4 toilets in each, men's and women's, 2 sinks, in each. So there you have a total of 8 toilets, 8 toilet paper holders, 4 sinks. We still have the porta-johns sitting out front. We have, it's a complete mess. And the inside of this bathroom is nothing more than cinder blocks. Okay. So it is so thoughtless that it's absolutely ridiculous. Okay. So that this is even still there, that this hasn't been picked up. It's almost like we just do not even care about one of the largest parks in District 2, especially in Coconut Grove. So you can see, as we're going through here, like what this looks like. This is huge, and it's like it's such an eyesore in general. And then this bathroom project is nothing more than cinder blocks. So it's better to me that we actually, this bathroom should have cost about, just configuring it after talking with several contractors that are local, probably about $50,000 is what this bathroom should have cost.
But I thought I would just stop by and give you guys,
$100,000 at the most. They said, for $132,000, it could have looked really, really nice. But this is exactly what it looks like, and you can see it's even a mess. And keep in mind, a ribbon cutting was done here, as if this is like some great space, when the actuality is it's just a complete disaster. So, oh, Max Martinez, Max, I'm glad you joined us. It better have 10-ply toilet paper and bidets for $1 million. Oh no, honey, listen, look at this. Look, the mirrors are like stuck to the wall. The craftsmanship inside is horrendous. I mean, it would have never, ever, this bathroom would have never passed my inspection at all. These are the toilets. I mean, even the flooring is like the cheapest flooring you can possibly get. There's only one ventilation fan for both sides of the bathroom. I'm pretty sure code-wise, look at that. I mean, look, it's awful, you guys. I mean, there's no tile on the wall. So when feces or anything like that, you know, like, listen, this is a public bathroom. Feces end up on the wall, guys. Okay. And so this is going to do nothing but stink because feces go in cinder block. Okay. It's porous. Concrete is a porous material. So this place is going to stink to the high heavens before too long. So we just paid $1,132,000. But the worst of it is when you get outside of the bathroom itself, when we get outside, there is no space whatsoever for any storage equipment, for our park maintenance. Our park maintenance is actually still utilizing a freight container. And by the way, the freight container, behind the freight container, it is absolutely full of trash. I showed this in this whole video, and it's just gross. We have volleyball courts that have no edging around them. It just looks like a complete disaster. I mean, like, I don't think I've ever seen anything more embarrassing in my life than this $1,132,000 for this bathroom. I would say for $1,132,000, we could have had this entire park like fixed with probably some new trees, some new shade, and some new benches. So there is the container that I referenced with all the trash and everything around it. So I walked back there in the video. So if you want to go and actually look at the video, I even tried to interview the older lady who is has her encampment behind the freight container, because I mean, this is just pathetic. I mean, look at this. I mean, we didn't even bother to encase in the ventilation system. It just looks so sloppy, so third world. It's like not even funny. Okay. So I am absolutely disgusted. I imagine you guys are too. Yes, it's a very, very high cost for sure. So, you know, if you want to stop the bleeding on this, please, you know, go out and vote for me on November the 7th. I am going to be at a Coconut Grove Town Hall tonight. And that Coconut Grove Town Hall, let me just actually give you, hold on just a second. I'm going to give you a couple of different things. So the Coconut Grove Town Hall is, there's going to be all of us District 2 commissioners are going to be there. It's going to be at St. James Baptist Church tonight, which is at 3500 Charles Avenue in Coconut Grove. So it's actually sponsored by the Coconut Grove Community Advisory Committee, the Coconut Grove Cowboys, Coconut Grove Village West, owners, homeowners association, and tenants. Also the Coconut Grove Ministerial Alliance, the Coconut Grove Negro Women's Club. So thank you guys very much for hosting us there. I want to say that in advance. I appreciate you guys being engaged just to listen, because we have so many problems to cover. Speaking of that, let me just explain how these things start. So a lot of people have asked, Christi, what question should we be asking our politicians? So the first question I would be asking is, how much money has your campaign and political action committees raised? And how have these monies been raised? How much of these monies have been raised for special interest or developers? And then what are those special interest and developers? What are those PACs specifically for? Secondly, have you or your campaign staff ever had private conversations with Joe Carollo, Francis Suarez, or Alex Diaz de la Portilla? So ask about the campaign staff, okay, specifically. So the other question regarding the campaign staff, ask, who are your campaign advisors and managers? Why did you choose them? What other campaigns have they managed? Who consults or influences your campaign manager? How have you selected have you already selected your chief of staff and sergeant of arms? If so, who are they? And have they ever worked with other politicians in the past? If so, which politicians have they worked for? What qualifications or degrees do you consider to be valuable for your staff? So find out, what they consider to be valuable. And how have you helped citizens as a private citizen? Those are the things you should really be asking. What qualification documents did you use to qualify for this candidacy? Did you show that you actually pay a utility bill in the area? Did you show any homestead exemption paperwork? Did you show your driver's license, or did you only show your passport? Because believe it or not, people can actually run for this position with their passport. I know it's sad. There's no background checks done either. So that's the reason people are asking me to please post the background checks. So I will do that for you. What qualification? Oh, wait. Okay. So I've already answered that. Do you have homestead exemption in District 2? So ask them, do they have homestead? Are they renters? Are they buyers? How long have they how long have they lived here? And where do they currently reside? And tell them, hey, listen, you all have stated that you're fighting corruption. Please tell me what law enforcement agencies you have already reported corruption to. And what types of corruption have they witnessed? Ask them. They're allowed to tell you. Have you or any of your campaign staff ever had private conversations with Joe Carollo, Francis Suarez, or Alex Diaz de la Portilla? So that will tell you, what parts and what camps they're in. The money will tell you a lot. Oh, also ask them how many companies they are on. Like, in other words, how many LLCs is their name on? How many do they manage? Because there's a lot of people that are managing a lot of different campaign companies. Mr. Leal is running a total of about 33 companies. Somebody has sent me, let me just show you. So there's an entire campaign corruption board. This is actually public knowledge. This was off of one lawsuit here. Okay. So these are the ties with Eddie Leal to all of the people within the city. So when he's telling you he's got, all kinds of connections, that's because he does. So does James Torres, Sabina Covo, Damian Pardo. They all have tons and tons of connections to special interest PACs. Many of them have created special interest PACs and have connections through their family members, their fathers, realty companies, and different variations. So this is how we're disenfranchised from the very beginning. So I will be sharing this in an article so that you guys can track it. You can see it for yourselves. I'm not trying to come against anyone. I just want you to be an informed voter, because being an informed voter will help us all make sure that we are electing the right person, so that we don't have to live with this person for four more years. And also so that we don't end up in a situation where we are electing someone who is already going to be, have money laundering, bribery, connections already. Because many of them are already tied to the very people and the very organizations that are already going down for money laundering, bribery, and connections. So, that way you guys can at least ask them ask your candidates about them. And then also the other thing that you should do is whenever candidates or anybody's coming and, trying to get you to vote for someone else, ask them what they are going to receive if that candidate is elected. So in other words, are they going to get a position on a board? Are they going to become a member of a board of trustees? Are they going to get an appointment in the person's office? What's actually going to happen? What's in it for them? Why are they out door knocking for that person? So that is a great question to be asking anybody who comes to your door for a candidate. And the other thing that might be very interesting, that I think you guys would find very entertaining, is ask them, are they being paid to door knock? Are they being paid, or are they doing it at their own free will as a volunteer because they believe in the person's cause? So, those are things that you can do to make sure that we are getting the right person elected. And, we do have a big issue that we have to make sure that we are voting out of office. So I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. Oh, hold on. No, I'm about to forget like the biggest piece, the land grabs. Oh my gosh. I was saving the best for last. Okay. But not really. This is actually horrific. Okay. So I have a guy that came to me. He actually found me at an event over the weekend. He comes in. I have a guy that came to me. He says, "Miss Tasker, over the weekend. I'm looking for you." And I was like, "Oh goodness," He says, "Miss Tasker, what's going on?" Because this is at a big event. And so I just decided to go live with him because I could not believe his story. It was absolutely horrific. So I went live with him, and you're going to need to go to Patriot's Perspective to see this video. So I just interviewed him. So you may want to start, let's just start here. He starts showing me his land. Hold on just a second. Let me get to the portion where he shows the documents. Hold on.
Same one.
I'm going to play this little clip for you. Listen, I'm being attacked on Twitter for like being a Trump fan, when the reality is I have the ability to manage relationships on all sides. I was also with Robert Kennedy earlier in the week, so I have no allegiance to anybody regarding presidency, and I'm not even concerned about it. What I am concerned about is things here. So when you see this, you're going to see a person with a Trump shirt. Hold on, sorry about that. I had the wrong audio on.
They're vilifying him.
See, I'm not really sure why it's not playing.
Trump has decided.
So for some reason, the audio is not playing right now, even though I've added it.
This judge did not.
So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go through and listen here, because you can go to about 12 minutes because, again, I was just recording his entire story of what he was showing me. He has an aquifer underneath his property. His property is directly next to the metro rail. And he is basically telling me that the same corrupt judges that someone, if you look on the Miami New Times right now, they were even showing me on the Miami New Times where somebody has taken out an ad to expose all of these judges that have been on this land grab mission. Well, this gentleman is a Native American, and he had his land grabbed in Brickell, directly next to the Metro Rail station this week. Actually last week, sorry. Now we're a week later. So 1 week ago, this man had a gun held to his head. He owned 50% of his property. The other 50% was owned by family. So you have an absolute 50-50 split. Okay. A judge decides that this man should be evicted from his home, and Miami-Dade police, again, Miami-Dade police, backed by the city of Miami police, come into his home and claim to be the sheriffs. Okay. They are not the sheriffs. We have no sheriff's office. A police and the sheriff are two different things, ladies and gentlemen, two different things. Okay. They are lying. Only a sheriff is constitutional. Okay. A police work for politicians. Daniela Cava-Levine claims to hold the sheriff's badge, which is completely unconstitutional. I know that's very hard for people to understand. It's very hard for people to believe, but you can look it up in the Constitution. The Florida Constitution says that we, the people, must appoint a sheriff. It does not say elect. It says appoint with an A, appoint. So we have the ability to appoint a sheriff, because until then, these politicians, get it? P-O-L-I, police, politician. Okay, so it's even the same root word. So we must realize that these people are disenfranchising our own citizens. So she goes on to say exactly what they did to this gentleman. So these are people that just went out to support him because they believe in their constitutional rights and his constitutional rights. So here he's showing like what his backyard looked like and how nice it was, and it's nothing but nature with an aquifer and art. Basically, he had a wall where he actually had, you know, art, and he says tons of Brickellites would actually come there to, you know, hang out. And but when it came time and they're seeing his stuff like being thrown on the street, he basically had nothing. So he's basically showing where this is. So this is where his property is. Okay. So basically there's the 7-Eleven store, and his property is directly like next to the Metro Rail. And Jorge Perez had come many times trying to buy this gentleman's property. So I am putting him in touch with the media. I'm also doing some research for him and also with the judges as well. So if you have access to the New Times Miami, or Miami New Times, sorry, make sure that you look at the back cover of that. There's an ad where another gentleman that had his house taken actually took out the entire ad on all the corrupt judges in our area. So I highly recommend that you guys look at that. And then, you know, if you guys want to be involved, I highly recommend that you get in touch with Barbara, my campaign manager. She runs Citizens First. So it's an organization where it is all about putting citizens first over any kind of politics or any kind of anything, any kind of special interest or even party. He is telling here how they took a hose years ago. They actually came in. He's allowed because his property is it's a native property. He was telling me here, because I was asking him, had they ever tried to do anything to him before? And he said, yeah, they actually came in when he had like a fire pit in his backyard. He said that the firemen came in and actually just like no warning whatsoever at all and started spraying him with all of that foam, the fire foam stuff. And he said they sprayed him so hard that he believes he might have actually broke some ribs or something. So he tells all about that here in the video. So that's what he's saying here, that it still even hurts him to this day. And honestly, I know, you know, when somebody gets hit that hard with something, it can also lacerate their liver, which can also affect them for a while. So it just so happened to be that this gentleman, who is actually in the U.S. Navy, came along and was just happened to be walking along the street when he sees all of this happening. So he tells about helping him pick up his things off the street. So it's so alarming. I mean, it's so alarming that this would be happening. So this is, again, she's showing like what the backyard was like. He was growing plants, native plants and things. I mean, so it's just crazy to me that, you know, we would, you know, we're asking for more green space and this is what we're getting. It's just unbelievable. He says there's these native ferns that are back here. A lot of them have medicinal properties to them. He knew all about the medicinal properties of all the plants and the water that was below. So let me see what else they said. Okay, let me actually bring up another person is having an issue with hot wire communications. And again, these are all seniors, by the way. So we have an issue with hot wire communications. Actually, hold on, let me see. Okay. Maybe a slight little issue in bringing up this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post photos of the hot wire communications, and I'll tell you about it because I want you to be able to see these photos, and I need to release them for the media anyway. So hot wire communications came in on someone's property and put in wires. And these wires are not good for people's health at all. But the thing is, they had no permit whatsoever. And they certainly did not have an easement at all. And these are installed directly on someone's property. And guess what? They turn around and tell the homeowner, don't dig in your yard ever again because you may break our wire. And this is for a new development, Terra. So We have Hotwire Communications, Tara involved. And guess what we also have? One of the candidates running against me, James Torres, he works for Hotwire Communications. So I ask you, James, are you involved in this? Because this is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm looking forward to your statement and what you're going to say and how you're going to try to cover up the Hotwire Communications occurring in Coconut Grove on people's property, violating their property rights and criminal trespassing. So, but that's what happens when we get criminals. James has a criminal history about a mile long, so many pages that it's ridiculous. I'll have to figure out how to actually upload it because, you know, he's been like pulled over. He's had child endangerment issues. So it's just ridiculous. I mean, that we would even like be able to even have somebody like that on the ballot to run for a campaign, because whenever you have a criminal history and you already are a criminal or you've been arrested for any reason whatsoever, I mean, what's to stop you from continuing to work with those people? And we already know from the last race, just in case you guys have missed it, that James Torres actually worked with 𝐂𝐥𝐿 for the 900 building to get $39,000 on a contract in the name of security for Bayfront Park Trust. The 900 building actually paid that to Bayfront Park Trust. And so James helped facilitate and advocated for the 900 building to pay those $39,000 fee, when the actuality is taxpayer dollars should have already been paying those fees anyway. But 𝐂𝐥𝐿 is only claiming that Bayfront Park makes a measly $2 million. He says that Bayfront Park only makes $2 million, so he can barely afford to run Bayfront Park. So I asked 𝐂𝐿𝐿 to immediately turn over Bayfront Park Trust to the District 2 Commissioner, because the District 2 Commissioner, I'm sure, will be able to run Bayfront Park Trust much better than Crazy Joe. I actually call him Sloppy 𝐂𝐿𝐿 because it's ridiculous. So I did confirm with him that it is a measly $2 million, because I think Bayfront Park Trust has the ability to bring in more like $2 billion. However, what I did find is that Bayfront Park, much of the property was actually sold off to developers. So, you know, part of that, what I was thinking was actually leases that he should be collecting on, is not, because the property was sold off. So they are doing things like that right beneath your nose, and it's absolutely disgusting. So we are going to have to unite. We are going to have to be informed, or otherwise you are going to be owned by globalist politicians who do not have your interest at heart, but have their own pocketbooks at heart and have their own people at heart. By the way, I'm also going to be bringing you information regarding how our Ponzi Postalita, Francis Suarez, is directly connected to Nancy Pelosi. So if you like the way Nancy Pelosi and her family run California, and if you like the way that they leave their homeless on the streets while they're inside eating ice cream, then guess what? I don't like it. I've been there. I've tripped over the homeless people in California. If you think we have homeless people here right now, wait until you see what happens. Okay, because this is completely wrong. We have the same people in government, in power, and guys, we must flip over the tables on them. Okay, so I'm just saying, we cannot sit around. We cannot sit silent. We cannot stick our heads under the sand, because otherwise, today they're coming for one person. The next week, they're going to be coming for you. Okay, we cannot sit by and just idly let this happen. Okay, because we have people that have taken COVID money. They have taken Champlain Towers money. They have taken FTX money. They have taken your money, I assure you. And we must immediately get them out of office. I have put out a tweet requesting that the governor remove Tricky Vicky, the city attorney, from office, because we are actually paying her to support 𝐂𝐿𝐿. We are paying her to hide her own issues that she has going on within the city. So hopefully you guys at least appreciate that, because I am making an effort to try to get her out of office, or out of her role until these investigations are complete, so that they cannot cover up anything else that they have going. I would also like for Francis Suarez to be removed from office until those investigations are completed, along with the city manager, because the city manager actually is 𝐼𝐸 Noriega, is the Miami Parking Authority former chief of, like, he's the former, I don't even know what he was. He's a former like manager of the Miami Parking Authority. He's never managed a city in his life. Okay. This guy is an absolute puppet for Francis Suarez and Joe Carollo and Alex Diaz de la Portilla. And by the way, they are all working together. They're all working with Nancy Pelosi, and Alex Diaz de la Portilla is, it's my understanding, he is the campaign manager, believe it or not, for Christian 𝐁𝐥𝐿. I mean, we can't even make this stuff up, guys. Okay. Until about 2 weeks ago, he was the leader of the Republican Party. I got him removed, just would not shut up until he did, because he had actually met me at the door with attorneys. He wanted to keep me out of the party as a whole, because I'm totally against him. I'm not for this. Listen, I am not for any criminals of any kind. I don't care what party they are in. So I've told investigators this, so I will tell you all this. And the only people that can make something happen is you guys, the people. So thank you very much for watching. Please make sure that you share this video with your audience. Please also share the video with your friends. Friends, family, especially if they're in District 2, call them, text them. Please let them know they must vote for Christi Tasker, because we are probably going to have to score double the amount of votes that we would normally, because Francis Suarez and Xavier Suarez have been stealing votes in Miami for a very long time. They go to the senior centers, they pay off the nurses. We are watching them. We have a lot of poll watchers, but we also have a lot of investigators on the ground. So hopefully we can catch them in some of it. However, it's cost us, a lot of time, a lot of people, and a lot of eyes on a situation, so that we can make sure that the elections are not stolen. So if you don't believe me, I've posted it on Twitter. Somebody was asking me, did I believe elections were stolen? I was able to show them proof. And I can also show you where Francis Suarez was actually under investigation for possible forgery for his dad's election before he ever took office as commissioner or mayor. He had actually signed FS as a witness on multiple ballots, and people didn't know. So I think that we are going to have to make sure that this information is also shared. Put it on your phones, take screenshots, do whatever you want to do to share the information and share the truth, because these are criminals. These are government gangsters in our government, and we must vote them out. So God bless you all. Please make sure that you come to the event tonight. I'll make sure to post that. And if you want to volunteer for my campaign, please do, because I only have unpaid volunteers. We have no paid volunteers whatsoever. And we have people, good people that are very knowledgeable, very intelligent, that just want our city back. That's all we want. We want to put citizens first, public safety, and our property rights and our values, and to rid this corruption once and for all. And together we can do it. So that is the good news. What I'm in my research, you're going to find that there's basically like 2 handfuls of players that are literally controlling everything else. And our city employees are absolutely sick of it. They're already blowing the whistle. So please help me help them to keep them safe, keep them in jobs, and also keep our city maintained while we may even have to go through a bankruptcy itself. Believe it or not, that might be the best way to rid what they've done. I don't know. I'm not able to look at all the contracts, because there's so little transparency. The minute I ask for certain contracts to help us make that decision, we don't really know. So all I can tell you is for sure 2 SEC violations. The third one, they typically come in and take over, and they're probably going to remove the people that are already the players involved anyway. So that's the reason you're not seeing our current commissioner. She doesn't really know anything. She's a puppet for Alex Diaz de la Portilla and Francis Suarez and Joe Carollo, because again, they're all working together. So we must vote them out. God bless you. And you'll also have somebody that can actually say the Pledge of Allegiance this time. Okay. can say the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm not going to erect flags on your building because LGBTQers tell me that they do not even want those flags on the buildings. Matter of fact, I have a lot of support from the LGBTQ community. And one other interesting thing. You may find it very interesting that Sabina Kovo has actually taken money from Damian Pardo's PAC named Save PAC, which is the LGBTQ PAC. Okay. So he founded that PAC. He funded her. So again, we have like even candidates all in bed with each other already. And the biggest part is I cannot wait for you guys to see the videos of Damian's manager, his campaign manager's kids campaigning for Christi Tasker. Okay. So you guys will find that absolutely comical. It is going to be among my favorite. So be sure that you share those because they've written songs, they've done everything. And yes, this is Damian Pardo's campaign manager's kids. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Kids don't lie. And by the way, they say the playground equipment is horrific. So make sure that you listen to those. God bless you all. Have a good afternoon. I'm sorry that I've rambled and gone so long, but thank you very much for listening and caring about our city. Christi4Miami.com. Please make a donation, pitch in, help me save our city. Volunteer, make texts, phone calls, whatever we can do, we'll get you on the list. Barbara will get you set up. She's absolutely amazing. I have the best campaign manager. And by the way, she is not paid $1. She is absolute volunteer. So please make sure that you thank Barbara for helping save our city as well. God bless you all. Have a good afternoon, everybody.